I am 34 years old. I am 34 years old, and until the night everything shattered, I believed I was married to a man who loved me, protected me, and respected the life I brought into our union. I believed marriage meant partnership, not ownership. I believed family meant support, not strategy. And I believed that love, real love, would never require me to erase myself to prove my loyalty. Before we begin, please like, comment, and subscribe, say hello in the comments, and tell us where you're watching from. Your support truly means everything. Now, let me tell you how I learned that the people smiling at your table can be the same ones sharpening knives beneath it. I should have known something was wrong the moment Marcus asked me to dress elegant for Sunday dinner at his parents' house. In the 3 years we'd been married, Sunday dinners at the Bennett home had always been casual. Stretchy dresses, slippers, laughter, background gospel music, and paper plates. But this time was different. His tone was careful, polished, rehearsed. "I just want you to look nice," he said, adjusting his cufflinks in the mirror. I laughed lightly, brushing it off. When don't I? But something in my chest tightened anyway. I chose a deep emerald dress, nothing flashy, just respectful, and smoothed it down as we stepped into his parents' foyer. The smell of slow-roasted beef and thyme filled the air, but instead of comfort, it made my stomach twist. Anxiety crept up my spine without explanation. "You okay?" Marcus whispered, squeezing my hand. "Just nerves," I replied, though his grip felt unfamiliar. Distant. The dining room stopped me cold. Crystal glasses lined the table. Real china. A linen runner. Candles. The chandelier was on. This wasn't dinner. This was a meeting. His mother, Esther Bennett, sat at the head of the table in a tailored navy suit, posture straight, lips pressed into a tight smile that never reached her eyes. His father, Caleb, wore a tie, something I'd never seen outside of funerals. His sister Nadine sat across from me, phone placed neatly beside her plate, her lips curved in a knowing smirk. And then there was Lydia, Marcus's aunt, seated quietly but watching everything. "Sit, darling," Esther said smoothly. "Dinner's getting cold." The first bite tasted like cardboard. We endured nearly 20 minutes of meaningless chatter, weather complaints, church updates, gossip about people I barely knew, before Esther dabbed her lips with a cloth napkin and cleared her throat. "We need to discuss your living arrangements." My fork froze midair. "My living arrangements?" I echoed. Caleb nodded. "The house. The one you inherited." My heart dropped. The house. The 3-bedroom bungalow in Maplewood Heights. The house my grandmother left me 2 years ago, fully paid off. The house Marcus and I repainted together. The house with the lemon tree out back. The house I'd imagined raising children in. "What about it?" I asked carefully. Esther smiled, folding her hands. "We believe it's time you transferred ownership to Marcus." The room tilted. "I'm sorry. It's very simple," she continued, reaching for a folder beside her chair. She slid it across the table toward me, the motion deliberate. "Final. We've already had the documents prepared. Once you sign, we can finally move forward as a family." The folder sat between us like a live grenade. "Move forward from what?" I asked. Nadine scoffed. "Don't be dramatic. It's just about protecting family assets." "Family assets?" My voice rose despite my efforts. "That house was my grandmother's. She left it to me." Caleb leaned back. "You're married. What's yours is Marcus's concern. Legally, this should have happened already." I turned to my husband, desperate. "Marcus?" He stared at his plate. "Marcus," I said again, my voice cracking. He finally looked up, and what I saw there shattered something in me. Resentment. "They're not wrong," he said quietly. "Why does the house have to stay in only your name?" I blinked. "Because my grandmother left it to me. She wanted me secure," I continued. "She worked 2 jobs for 40 years to pay that place off." "And you are secure," Esther said smoothly. "You have my son. You have this family. But right now, you're being selfish." Selfish. That word burned. "If you truly loved him," she added, "this wouldn't even be a question." The realization hit me all at once. This wasn't a conversation. It was an ambush. "I need the restroom," I whispered. In the bathroom, I gripped the sink and stared at my reflection. My grandmother's voice echoed in my mind. "Baby girl, never let anyone shame you for protecting what's yours." I splashed water on my face. My mascara ran. When I opened the door, Nadine was waiting. "You know he cheated on you, right?" My heart stopped. "What?" "Last summer. Some woman from his gym." Mom found out and made him end it. She shrugged. Family comes first. I couldn't breathe. So here's the deal, she continued calmly. Sign the house over, and we pretend you're good enough for him. Or don't, and you'll lose everything anyway. When I returned to the dining room, they were serving dessert. Peach cobbler. My recipe. Esther looked up. So, have you made a decision? I stayed standing. Let me be clear, I said. You want me to give up my grandmother's house so Marcus can feel like more of a man? That's not, Marcus started. I wasn't talking to you, I snapped, surprising even myself. Esther's smile hardened. Any good wife puts her husband first. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. I paid for Marcus's business certifications. I co-signed his car. I covered your medical bills last year, Caleb. And I'm selfish. Silence. If you walk out, Esther warned, you're choosing that house over your marriage. I met her gaze. No, you made that choice for me. I left. Marcus called 6 times on the drive home. I didn't answer. By morning, I knew something was deeply wrong. And I didn't yet know just how much danger I was in. The drive home felt unreal, like my body was moving through space without my mind fully attached. Every streetlight blurred into the next. My hands shook so badly I had to pull over twice, gripping the steering wheel and forcing myself to breathe before panic swallowed me whole. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my chest ached. Marcus called 6 times. I let every call ring out. Inside the house, silence wrapped around me like a blanket and a blade all at once. The hardwood floors creaked softly under my steps, familiar and grounding. This house had always felt like safety. That night, it felt like a battlefield. I listened to the voicemails. The progression told its own story. First message, soft, apologetic. Baby, come back. We can talk about this. Second, annoyed. You're overreacting. My parents were just trying to help. Third, angry. You embarrassed my mother. That wasn't okay. Fifth, cold. Stay there tonight if you want, but we're discussing this tomorrow. You owe my family an apology. The last message made my blood run cold. You have 48 hours to decide what matters more, your pride or your marriage. I deleted them all. That night, I didn't sleep. Every memory replayed itself differently now. Every conversation with Marcus twisted under new light. His endless business plans that never made money. His insistence that I handle the bills because I was better with finances. His subtle resentment any time I mentioned the house as mine. By morning, dread sat heavy in my stomach. I called in sick to work, something I'd never done before, and dialed my best friend Renee. They did what? She shouted through the phone. I told her everything. The dinner. The folder. Nadine's hallway confession. The ultimatum. Absolutely not, Renee said. This is financial abuse. You need a lawyer. Today. By 10 a.m., I was sitting in a high-rise downtown across from Monica Fields, a calm, sharp-eyed attorney with silver-rimmed glasses and a voice that didn't waver. She flipped through the folder I'd taken from Esther's dining table, her jaw tightening slightly. This is aggressive, she said. Can they force me to sign? I asked. No, she replied immediately. That house is your separate property. It was inherited before the marriage. They have no legal claim. Relief rushed through me, but it didn't last. These aren't standard documents, Monica continued. This is a quitclaim deed. If you'd signed this, ownership would have transferred to Marcus instantly. No compensation. No recourse. My stomach dropped. How much is the house worth? I asked quietly. She glanced at her notes. Conservatively? About $420,000. In 5 years, much more. The room spun. They tried to steal my house, I whispered. Yes, Monica said firmly. And I'm concerned there's more you don't know. She leaned forward. Does your husband contribute equally to household expenses? I hesitated. He contributes when he can. How long has that been? Almost 4 years. Monica nodded slowly. I want to recommend a forensic accountant. That afternoon, everything unraveled. The accountant, Elaine Porter, spread papers across her desk like evidence from a crime scene. Your husband has 3 credit cards you didn't know about, she said. Total debt, $82,000. My breath caught. And there's more, she added gently. He's been paying the minimums using a joint account you rarely check. The one where your annual bonuses go. What did he spend it on? I asked, already afraid of the answer. Luxury restaurants. A private gym membership. Jewelry purchases. She paused. Did you receive expensive jewelry recently? No. Elaine exhaled slowly. Then someone else did. The final blow came next. He took out a personal loan 6 months ago. $75,000. I stared at her. That's impossible. He listed your house as collateral. I felt physically ill. My signature is on that? I whispered. Yes. And it's forged. Everything made sense all at once. The dinner. The pressure. The desperation. They needed the house in his name, I said hollowly. To cover this. Elaine nodded. If the house transferred to him, the fraud becomes harder to prosecute. Without it, the bank will discover the forgery. I left her office shaking. That evening, I returned home to find Marcus sitting on my couch like nothing had happened. I brought dinner, he said brightly. Let's talk. I didn't sit. I need you to be honest, I said. He smiled nervously. Of course. The loan, I said. The $75,000 loan using my house. Did you forge my signature? His face drained of color. Yes or no, Marcus? He exhaled. I was going to tell you. That wasn't the question. Yes, he whispered. Something inside me snapped clean in two. You committed a felony, I said calmly. You put my home at risk. I needed capital, he pleaded. You never believe in me. And the jewelry? I asked. The private gym? The restaurants? Silence. Get out, I said. He didn't. Instead, he called his mother. 20 minutes later, Esther, Caleb, and Nadine walked into my house without knocking. You've upset Marcus, Esther announced. He committed fraud, I replied. Illegal is such a harsh word, Caleb said. What's yours is his, Nadine smirked. Prove you didn't know. They thought they had me cornered. They hadn't planned for Monica. I pulled out my phone. I've been recording, I said. Every word. Esther's smile vanished. Monica's voice came through the speaker. Police are on the way. The house fell silent. By the time officers arrived, Marcus was shaking. This is a misunderstanding, Esther insisted. The evidence said otherwise. Marcus was escorted out of my house that night. And that was only the beginning. The week after Marcus was removed from my house unfolded like a storm that refused to slow down. Police reports. Emergency court filings. Phone calls that started before sunrise and didn't stop until late at night. I learned quickly that betrayal doesn't end when the truth comes out. It escalates. Marcus was given 3 days to formally vacate my property. 3 days he spent swinging wildly between desperation and rage. 1 hour he'd leave voicemails sobbing, apologizing, promising therapy, faith counseling, change. The next hour he'd send long text messages threatening to ruin me in court and expose me as a controlling wife who emasculated her husband. I saved everything. Monica told me to. People like this unravel when control slips, she said. Documentation is your shield. The restraining order came through on day 4. Marcus wasn't allowed within 500 feet of me or the house. Esther tried to argue it, of course. She called Monica directly, accusing her of destroying a good Christian family. Monica didn't flinch. Your son committed felony fraud, she said evenly. Be grateful we're discussing divorce and not prison. That silenced Esther for about 12 hours. Then the smear campaign began. Posts started appearing on social media about ungrateful women who trap men with money. Subtle at first, then not subtle at all. Church friends stopped returning my calls. Someone emailed my workplace anonymously, suggesting I was emotionally unstable and financially abusive. For the first time since this nightmare began, I cried. Not because I regretted my choices, but because I saw how calculated this had always been. How easily people were willing to believe the worst about me because it was more comfortable than believing the truth about Marcus. Renee came over that night with wine and takeout. Let them talk, she said fiercely. Truth doesn't rush, but it always arrives. She was right. The preliminary hearing happened 3 weeks later. Marcus looked smaller somehow. Thinner. The confidence he used to wear like armor was gone. His attorney tried every angle, claiming I controlled the finances, that Marcus had implicit permission, that marital trust allowed flexibility. Monica dismantled it all. She laid out timelines, bank statements, the forged signature comparison, the exact date Marcus applied for the loan, 1 week after I refused to refinance the house in both our names. This was not a misunderstanding, Monica said. This was a sustained attempt to defraud my client of her separate property. The judge, an older woman with calm eyes and iron in her voice, looked directly at Marcus. Marriage does not entitle you to theft, she said. And family pressure does not excuse criminal behavior. I felt something release in my chest. The divorce moved faster than anyone expected. Marcus's attorney tried to negotiate behind closed doors, offered concessions, suggested counseling. Even implied reconciliation might look better for the fraud case. Monica shut it down. My client is not a rehabilitation center, she said. She is a person who was targeted. The final mediation lasted 6 exhausting hours. Marcus sat across from me, hands shaking. I'm sorry, he said for the 100th time. I love you. I looked at him and felt nothing. You loved what I provided, I said quietly. Not me. The settlement was brutal and clean. No claim to the house. No alimony. Full responsibility for his debts. Restitution payments for my legal fees, $150 a month, indefinitely. In exchange, I agreed not to pursue additional criminal charges beyond the fraud already filed. The record would remain. The consequences would follow him. Marcus signed. When it was over, I walked out of that building divorced. 6 months later, I stood in my grandmother's kitchen baking peach cobbler. The same recipe. The same measuring spoons. Different woman. Renee sat at the counter while her daughter played on the floor, laughter filling the rooms Marcus once claimed made him feel small. You're lighter, Renee said. I am, I replied. I finally understand what my grandmother was trying to teach me. I listed the house 2 weeks later. Not because I was running, but because I was choosing. The offer came quickly. A young couple. First baby on the way. They loved the lemon tree. Selling the house didn't feel like loss. It felt like freedom. The profit would go toward something smaller. Something fully mine. Maybe a condo downtown. Maybe a quiet place with a garden and peace. Do you think you'll trust again? Renee asked. Eventually, I said. But differently. Love without respect is just decoration over danger. I'll never forget that again. Marcus declared bankruptcy not long after. Esther blamed me publicly. Nadine blocked me. Silence followed. And in that silence, I found peace. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of self-respect. I learned that protecting yourself isn't selfish. That boundaries are not betrayal. That love should never require you to erase your safety to prove your loyalty. And if you're standing at a table where everyone is asking you to give up what keeps you whole, know this. You are not wrong for walking away. Before you go, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Your voice matters here. Share your thoughts below. What would you have done in my place? Sometimes, knowing we're not alone makes all the difference.